we decided, as reflecting our relationship, that I'll be the initiator.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. We should just briefly talk about that before we get into this, that often, at least in my experience and our experience, one of the people is more likely to bring these things up, like more likely to be the initiator. The other one tends to be the recipient. Yeah. Both people have challenges with that role. So the initiators can feel like a caretaker to the whole relationship, like it's their responsibility to do all this. And the recipient can feel like it's they're constantly having to, put out fires, sort of like, it can feel, each has their own challenge that they're sort of dealing with. Yeah. And especially if it's not so balanced, like if one person's more the initiator and the other person's usually the recipient, it's going to feel like, it can feel like the initiator just is never happy. And then the recipient, the initiator, can feel like probably I constantly have to be the one to initiate. Right. And they are, but it's part of it is to accept what is your natural inclinations. Right. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't expand. And, part of what I'm going to try and do moving forward is initiate a little more. When it feels resonant. The thing with me is that I kind of do the self-reflection, and then I tend to just let it go. And I don't see much reason to talk after that a lot of the time. So what I've learned, though, is most of the time talking about it gives a whole new perspective and much more expansions there. So, so talking about it's great. And whatever the roles are, I think you'll tend to find the divine feminine is going to want to initiate more than the divine masculine, or it doesn't mean nothing about gender. And it also doesn't mean that even like, I wouldn't even necessarily say that I'm always divine masculine in the relationship. Mm-hmm. Tassel has many, very highly divine masculine traits. So this is more about this particular arena. And how we deal with our emotions and how we deal with our expression of our emotions. And so in that respect, I'm very typical divine masculine, almost too far to the divine masculine side. So I wanted to just talk about that a little briefly to share that you may find that dynamic exists, and that try to recognize both sides have a challenge that they're dealing with that. Right. There's a bit of an imbalance, and both sides are having trouble probably with that. Yes. In different ways.
And that's just a perfect orientation to hold with everything.
Everything. Good point.
Partner, right. There's always, each person is always challenged in some ways in all these aspects, most likely. Okay. So this is a fun example because it actually happened. What's today? Friday? Thursday. This conversation happened last Saturday night when I was in Canada visiting you. And I didn't bring it up in a great way. I didn't really do much inner work beforehand, and it didn't go so great. So I'm really excited to do it in this way. So I feel like I get a redo. I'm excited. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to start with the initiation stage. And I'm going to just first say, hi, Sean.
Hello, Tassel. Nice to see you again. I haven't seen you in so long.
Would it be okay to bring up something that was challenging for me during this day?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Oh, you know what we should do? We should use our Namaste Method.
Oh, let's use the Namaste Method. Thank you for reminding me. Oh my gosh. So much better to do it that way than the other ways. Okay. And maybe I just feel I know we can start in lots of different ways, but I want to start by saying that I'm so grateful for you. And there's just so many things I'm grateful for. I could just go on and on, but you're just so amazing. And I'm just so grateful for you. And what I'm going to bring up, I'm sure that we can figure it out and work through it as we have every other thing that has come.
We always get through it, and we can traverse this together, so we can get through this too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That you saying that is like up with what I heard you say. You saying that is so exciting.
Excellent.
Okay. So I don't think we even have a problem at this point.
We're already done.
Like just saying those things almost, I bet like if I were really, I'm not in pain right now, but I bet if I had been in a lot of pain, just that interaction with you.
That would remove probably 70% of the turmoil.
Seriously. Just like hearing you say what you just said, that was just, oh, so yummy. I don't even have to talk. Let's just go get some pizza or something.
Let's make out.
Let's make out. Okay. So that was a great beginning. Okay. Now I'm going to identify the challenge without judgment. Okay. So, so today we were with, your beautiful 3 children throughout the day. And, there were so many aspects of it that were amazing, and I adore them. I love them. They're so cute and awesome and funny and smart. Okay. And at the same time, some stuff was coming up for me. And, I don't know if it's just all my own stuff to deal with, my own wounds, my own stories. I'm not sure, but it's been really painful. And so I guess I just was wondering if I could give you more juicy details about it.
Yeah.
You could be present with me in what I was experiencing. I had feelings come up of like feeling sort of on the outskirts of like you and your kids, or feeling not quite partnered with you throughout the day in the way that would be my bias or my preference. And actually just before we're talking now, like I cried for a long time. And like the sort of the last thing that kind of set me off or triggered me was I thought you had fallen asleep with your little sweet Kai, who's only 3 years old, who you had put to bed, and you laid down with him, and just like so much time had gone by. And I thought, oh, I guess I'm just going to sleep on the couch here by myself. Because I thought maybe you had fallen asleep, and I don't know. So much pain is coming up for me around all of this.
So what I heard you say was that you felt like you were on the outskirts, that you enjoyed hanging out with my children and you liked my children, but you felt sad and on the outskirts, and felt maybe that not so included in what was going on. And you also felt, you said that you cried for a while around feeling or around me falling asleep with my son when I was putting him to bed. Is there anything about that I missed, or is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Oh, thank you for asking. No, I think that's it. And I feel like, honestly, I feel embarrassed sort of talking about this. Like, okay, this is one more good thing to share. Like, I think I was having little feelings of this come up like throughout the day. And I kept trying to be like, oh, no, everything's fine. Everything at one point in the middle of the day, I had been doing a craft with Kai, and his finger got cut with the scissors that I was using with him. And I don't know how it happened. It was awful. his finger was bleeding. You were there and you attended to him, and then you and him kind of went off and actually fell asleep. There's a little theme here. But like some little things were happening where I just started to feel like uncomfortable or a bit disconnected from you. And I kept, like, my thinking mind kept just being like, it's okay. Everything's fine. It's all okay. And I just think what happened is it kind of like built up throughout the day. And I wasn't saying anything, partly because it's kind of hard to talk to you. We're with all the kids and I didn't want to make a thing. And so I don't know. I'm partly just sort of embarrassed by the whole thing and sort of wish I didn't feel this way, and can see how it sort of built up. And then I ended up crying so much. And I don't know, I just feel a little yuck about the whole thing.
So what I heard you say is that there were multiple sort of scenarios that kind of came up throughout the day that triggered this type of unsettled feeling or discomfort around being partnered or being a participant or feeling on the outskirts of things. In particular, the point where Kai had his finger hurt, and then I went off to kind of console him and put a Band-Aid on him. And then we kind of snuggled on the couch and fell asleep, which, it probably felt more like you're on the outskirts because I just went off and fell asleep. So is there anything else about that I missed? Is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Thank you for asking. No, I think that's good.
So I just want to say that I can totally understand how you would feel that way. I can imagine, I can kind of put myself in your position. I've come to your place and joined into the family activities, and I can understand the feeling of not really, not really feeling like you're a part of the unit, but wanting to be a part of the unit, not sure what's appropriate, what to do. And I can imagine if you just went and fell asleep somewhere, with one of your children when I was there, that I would probably feel a bit strange about this, and that I'd have challenged with that as well. And so I can imagine how difficult that was, especially when you thought that I just fell asleep at night, and that you were going to have to sleep on the couch because I had Kai in the bed that we were going to sleep in. I was going to carry him to another one, or I did carry him to another one, but you didn't have a place to sleep because Kai was in the bed with me. And so I can understand how that would be, upsetting. You've come to stay with me and, there's nowhere to sleep, and you're just going to go to sleep on the couch alone. And because, so I can understand it. And I can totally relate to how you feel.
Thank you. That really helped me a lot, just to feel so understood by you and not, not criticized in any way, or just thank you. I feel so much better right now.
You're welcome. So I guess I'll just express my experience and sort of my side of things and what was happening for me. So I think primarily for me, when I'm with my children, things, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, things get a little habitual. You have a little bit sort of, behaviors, patterns that you do things at certain times, and I don't have a lot of experience with bringing another partner into this mix. And I don't have a lot of, I just don't have a lot of experience in how that happens, how I do that in a good way. I also am very careful not to try to put too much on you. I don't want it to feel like you have to suddenly be a parent to my children, and that you feel like obligated to, do things you don't want to do, or play with them when you don't want to, or things like that. And then on the other side of it also, I just was I think I was just a little distracted. I was a little involved, especially when Kai kind of hurt his finger. Um, I felt I was very okay with all of it. I didn't feel at all that there was anything wrong that had happened. I felt bad for him that he was in pain. And then I went and laid with him on the couch, and just, we both were tired, and I guess we fell asleep. We weren't trying to go to sleep or anything like that. But I mean, if I lay down, I might fall asleep. It's kind of a thing I do a little bit, a thing that happens to me when I lay down and if I'm relaxed. So I just wanted to express that never was I intending for you to feel left out in any way, or not a part of things, or not able to contribute or make decisions. I'm always interested in everything that you have to express and share, and whatever we're ever doing. If you don't like it, any of it, or if stuff isn't feeling like you're a part of it, I'd feel really comfortable if you could let me know about that, so that we can sort of address it right away. Because I'd rather, or it would be my preference for you to feel comfortable, rather than having these types of discomfort come up, which I also didn't pick up on at all. I didn't notice that there was any of this happening. So
awesome. So what I heard you say is that, like, I think you said, like, many parents, you can just kind of get into a habit of how you're doing things, and you haven't brought another person into the mix before. This is only the second time that I visited you ever. And that you were somewhat distracted at times throughout the day, maybe particularly when Kai hurt his finger. But your intention is for me to feel comfortable and to feel partnered with you, in being part of the family and making decisions, and that you welcome me bringing up anything. And yeah, did I miss anything?
no, I don't think so. I just wanted to add as well that I lost track of what I was going to say. Never mind.
Awesome. So have we done all of navigating to clarity?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, we'll just step out of character for a moment, and
end scene.
Yeah, end scene, pause scene. And basically, I just wanted to highlight that, in that whole discussion, Tassel and I ensured clarity of what I was experiencing, what I was trying to do, what I prefer, what I want, and all I want is her comfort. I don't, I wasn't aware that there was any issue going on. And what we're trying to highlight without any judgment at all is that the experience that Tassel was having didn't really align with like what I was trying to do. Right. It didn't really, it didn't align with any of my intentions as far as me. I wanted her to feel basically that she could take whatever space she wants or join in as much as she wants to whatever degree she feels comfortable. And I thought that would just sort of happen normal without much discussion. And so that's, I think a lot of that sort of gets highlighted through what we were just doing. So sometimes we may find that it's necessary to highlight that like maybe say, Tassel, did you notice that all of the things that I'm talking about are sort of the antithesis to how you were feeling? Like I was always, my intention was only to include you and to be partnered in what we were doing. And I hope that what I've shared has helped to make that clear. Right.
Yes.
So we're not saying that like tassel. Oh, you're not even paying attention. It's nothing like that. We're just sort of expressing that it doesn't seem to really align. My what I was trying to do and what was being expressed by the initiator or tassel in this case is
yes. And I just want to contrast this with what can happen where, let's say, in a more 3D, less namaste orientation that we might be in, I might say, oh, I felt this way, or I could say, you did this. And then you might be like, no, I didn't. That's not. And it's just like, there's not space for each person just to share the experience. So
yeah,
it's like, it's such common sense. It's just giving space for each person to share what they experience and what they want.
exactly.
And just to give space. That's it, without jumping on the other person. Okay, so let's do the last three. So repair and expansion. So I could say here that I can see how my past experiences, particularly in my marriage, where my former spouse had a daughter when we came together, and she was very, very young. And I experienced a lot of challenges, and I'm sure my former spouse did too, around the whole situation of not feeling included and feeling marginalized. And it's very difficult, very painful. And it really never really resolved in a lot of ways throughout the marriage. So I can see how I carry these past experiences, and that if I'm not conscious about it, that can be a lens through which I'm viewing this current experience. So I think a way that I can really expand here is, if this comes up for me, to just really understand, okay, what is actually happening? And am I bringing in some past narratives to put onto these facts of what is happening?
Thank you for sharing. And what I noticed is that I can take for granted your comfort because you're such a buoyant personality and a happy-go-lucky type energy. I can miss that you're having some trouble. And what that indicates to me is that I can't always trust what I'm seeing. If we're in a group scenario, especially, I think I can't always assess how you feel based on what I'm sort of perceiving at that moment, because you're of course not going to, start to get very emotional and stuff in front of my children when everyone's around. Like, it's probably not the most appropriate time. You don't feel really comfortable. There's not a lot of space to discuss these things. And what I'm thinking is that one of the ways that I can expand in this is being more, a little more conscientious around, I'm bringing you into my like family setup, and there's a bunch of challenges here, a whole bunch of stuff for us to sort of navigate together. And I can see how, maybe some preliminary discussion or, some expression from me about what I'd like, about just wanting to include you in my intentions, and being a little bit more like, I hope you feel comfortable, and I hope things like that, expressing myself in that way to make sure that it's clear from the beginning that I see us as partners, and that I see all of it. I want your opinions. I want your thoughts. I don't ever want you to think that I don't care about that stuff. Or that you're not being considered in that way. And I noticed that that's another thing that I can expand in, is just sort of my consideration about how everyone is feeling about the moment.
Yes. Okay. So two things I want to say is, one, that it's helpful what you just said, that I usually seem to just be very cheerful. And I think that whole day last Saturday I was, and so how would you wouldn't know that anything was going on underneath the surface. And that is part of my sort of people pleaser default orientation from my childhood and being a Libra and all that. So I see it's like, it's my responsibility, obviously, to be more truthful in a way, but it is a little hard when there's, it's just a bunch of kids around. So there's, some balancing there. And I don't know if it's okay to say in our method, but when you said about being more conscientious, I was just thinking like if you're here with me in my home, me being, just checking in on you, like if we're all together, like, hey, how are you doing? Like, is this working for you or any way I can help? Like,
Yep.
just sort of us, possibly if it feels resonant, like each just sort of checking in on the other a couple times during the day or something if we're with all the kids.
That's basically what I noticed, is that I sort of expect, which is not totally reasonable of me, but I kind of expect that people will let me know immediately if they're having if something's going on. I kind of just and it's not a very reasonable expectation, is what I'm noticing. So my expansion can be I can actively seek these things out a little bit more, like actively consider, oh, this might be a bit odd for her. I wonder how this is going. And I can remember that, just because she's having a good time and is, and things seem okay, there may be other stuff going on, and just, it's not going to hurt to check in. Right. And to say, how are things going? And, or even making sure something else, like maybe making sure that we get a couple of minutes aside from the kids here and there to just check in and stuff like that too.
Yes, totally. I think because partly when I was there that last Saturday, I know, you have your kids on the weekend. It's so precious. And there's a lot going on. So I might feel just kind of sort of hard to bring anything up, even like a little small thing. But if you open it up a little bit, like, hey, how are you doing? And I might just say a little quick thing. Oh, I felt a little uncomfortable around Kai and his finger. And just, there's a little bit of like connection there in a way.
Right.
And as you said, I was feeling that too. And I think I even said, oh, once the little kids go to bed, could you and I just have a little space just to, in a way, just check in with each other. And I think this is just probably really helpful for married people with their kids and all that too. So a lot of this is, I think, really normative in these situations. But yeah,
so
I feel great now.
I feel a lot better about everything. And I'd like to say that in that conversation, we sort of went through, like both of these.
Yeah. Together.
We went through the repair and expansion and the resolution. We commented on how each other were talking, and we shared different ways we can expand. Yes. We both expressed that we feel heard, we feel understood. And so you can kind of see that we didn't even really, even as we're doing the example, we didn't follow it to a T. We're just trying to make sure that we're expressing and getting to these resolutions in these ways, and following this as a sort of a general guideline. And so just at the end, I just wanted to express that I'm very grateful for you bringing this up, for you, being courageous and vulnerable, and sharing how you felt with me and how you experienced things. And, if you didn't do this, we wouldn't be able to move through the whole problem. So I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. I have like 3 favorite phrases from you now. What I heard you say, we can get through this together, and thank you for bringing this up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think,
I guess that's true. I don't think I've really said thank you for bringing this up very much. Probably.
I think this is the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I've been thankful. I just haven't expressed it, which is often my thing, where I don't say stuff. Right.
Oh my gosh. So. Those 3 phrases, I don't need anything else. I don't have preferences for anything else. That's just perfect. And I, Sean Kelly, would like to express my deep profound gratitude to you for giving me your precious time, space, and attention in hearing this challenge of mine.
Namaste.
And scene. Namaste.
And just at the end, there's the optional steps, right? We don't, in this case, we're not going to go through these because these are just what we do on our own. It's just what we look at our stories. Sometimes through the discussion, we'll have more stuff come up that, it's kind of clear that we want to look at. So we'll do that. And hopefully that example we gave was okay and worked for everybody. We thought it was important to try to walk through it a little bit. I know it's a little difficult, but we really appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate Joe very much for coming along and paying attention and hanging out with us. Thank you very much, Joe, and everyone who's watching and Patreons, etc. We love you all.
Yes. I'm just going to go back. It's probably a little awkward to the very first slide. Just thank you so much. And if you have any feedback or in any way, anything you want to share with us about your own experiences in all of this, we'd love to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, and one last thing I'd like to share is that I'm going to create a PDF copy of the method and the flowchart, and we'll offer that for a download with the Patreon. So you'll be able to get the video. You'll have the video, but in that post, you're also going to have a link to download a PDF copy of the flowchart for the process chart, so you can print it out or whatever you want to do with it. Modify it for you and your partner, however you want to do that.